I hate rim brakes. I said it. That's the title of the video. Slight bit of clickbait, not gonna lie, because it's a love-hate relationship. But let's get into why I hate rim brakes. And in 2025, I think I'm gonna be ruled by disc brakes. If you're new to this channel, my name is Jared Watts, and I put out cycling content. I make videos that I like to make, and I hope that you like them as well. So please follow, subscribe, and like this video. I greatly appreciate it. Honestly, I really do appreciate it, and I really hope you enjoy the video. Let's do it. This has been my trusty race bike for a couple of years now. I bought this in, I think, 2021. It was post-COVID, 2020. It's a 2018 Specialized Alley Sprint. And I bought it for criterium racing and road racing. At the time, it was my dream bike. I found it in Pennsylvania. I live in Minnesota. I had it shipped to me from a guy there for about $2,000. I swapped out basically all of the parts. I kept just the frame, and I've ridden it basically in this configuration for a couple of years. Di2 setup on there, and I've loved it. It's been such an amazing bike. But this year, crit racing, I saw some flaws in my racing, and I need to upgrade those flaws. One of the ways is doing that by bike. So we're going to run through this bike first, then we're going to talk about what I'm going to change for 2025, and how I'm going to get better. So first up, let's run through the bike. So this has some mismatched wheels on it. I know it doesn't look good for YouTube, but I'll explain why. So let's start up front. We got a 100 millimeter stem on there, carbon, aluminum, 38 centimeter FSA Gossamer bars. I've loved these. If you've ever crit raced before, you know that crashes can happen, and that's why this bike has been so perfect. That's why we have aluminum bars on there. We got Ultegra Di2. It's from like the 6,000 range. I think it's 68, 70, something like that. But it is 11-speed Ultegra Di2, and the front wheel is going to be a Corima tubular wheel with Vittoria Corsa tubular tire on there. It feels amazing, and they are lightweight. And I started with Corima wheels, cracked the back one in like my second crit race this year, and had to get a head stinger as a replacement. And I just didn't upgrade any wheels after I bought the head stinger, because I just wanted to get through the crit season with my current configuration, not spend a bunch of money on it. So that's why we have mismatched wheels. Crit racing, you tend to crash sometimes. Okay, so we have this beautiful chameleon paint job on here. I love this paint job. I will be devastated when I have to get rid of this paint job. We got a Specialized Power 143 millimeter saddle. I have this saddle on all of my bikes now in different like upgrade levels. This is probably the lowest level with the alloy rails on there. Again, it's a crit bike. It's made to crash, but I have this Specialized Power saddle on all of my bikes now. Coming down to the cranks, we have Ultegra 170 cranks on there. I have a Stages power meter on the other side. Got a 5339 configuration on the front. I've really enjoyed that configuration. I tried a 54 1x setup. It's a little bit too big for me, but the 53 is perfect for racing here in Minnesota. Now on the back, we have an 1128 cassette. We have Ultegra derailleur, of course. We got Ultegra brakes on there. We have Shimano Ultegra pedals on there. And then we have this Head Stinger 3 tubular wheel with a Kenda Rally tubular tire on there. Not the fastest tubular tire, if we're being honest, but again, it was a replacement wheel that just met a need at the time. So where do I think that this bike is lacking, and where do I think that this bike is really good? This bike feels amazing. I have loved this bike. I've loved riding it. Even the thought of getting rid of it does break my heart a little bit, because it just feels like a rocket ship underneath me. It is so quick and agile. I get that feeling from the bike. I get that it just wants to go forward when you put the power down. And I'll explain how that differs from my other road bike in a second. But it's very quick. It's agile. When I want to sprint out of a corner, this reacts right away to it. Now, ride feel though, it's an alloy frame, carbon fork, carbon seat post. It's rough and rigid. It hurts a little bit. If you've ever ridden this bike for more than 2 hours, your body starts to hurt a little bit. So that is a downside, but it's made for crit racing. I do hour-long races on this thing. I do a half-hour warm-up, 15-minute cool down. I'm not on this bike for more than 2 hours almost ever. I ride it on my indoor trainer as well. It's perfect for that. Never had an issue with it. It's quick, it's agile, it's light. It's like 16.5 pounds. Super light from that perspective. But the biggest biggest drawback, I think, are the brakes. We are rim brakes, and they just only allow for so big of a tire. I think the biggest I've ridden on this bike is a 26. It can probably fit a 28 depending on what size tire what size rim I'm running and the internal on it. But I'd really like to race some 32 or 30 millimeter tires next year, because cornering is one of the spots that I need to get better at next year. Now, I know what you're thinking out there. Jared, just make yourself better. And I know I'm going to work on making myself better. I'm racing as a Cat 2 now, so I'm racing all the time with 1s and 2s. And cornering is one of those spots that I need to get better at. I'm going to work on my physical ability to corner, but also why not look at my bike and see how I can upgrade my bike to enhance those abilities as well. Running bigger tires is going to allow me to corner better and run lower pressures, either with a tubeless setup or a TPU setup, maybe get into that 60 PSI range for racing. That is kind of my goal for next year and my thoughts. So cornering is one of them. Now, again, put it in the comments, because I know you're thinking it. Jared, you can corner well with 25s. I know it's possible, but why not try to upgrade my technology underneath of me to make that even better, right? I race a lot of cyclocross, and doing that in cyclocross, boom, made my cornering better just overnight. I didn't have to do anything else. Putting on different tires on there, getting a better setup, PSI setup, instantly my cornering got better. So that is my goal here. Plus the ability to brake even a little bit easier. I think with disc brakes, I've been running disc brakes on the road as my training bike. I have a beautiful felt AR that I run, not for racing, because I don't want to damage that bike. And I've really enjoyed the braking power of disc brakes. I also run it on my cyclocross bike, and it's also my gravel bike. And I like the stopping power. And I think the stopping power of disc brakes, the ability to not hold your lever as long and have a little bit more precise braking, can make me better in a crit. Now I know what you're thinking. In a crit, you don't want to brake. I know, but you need to brake for positioning, and you need to brake in certain moments. And if I can have a little bit more precise braking, I think that can make me better. Now, also, this is a 2018 frame, so aerodynamically, right, we can get better. Now, aerodynamics don't factor in super highly in my mind, because it's crit racing. Most of the time you're in a pack drafting off of somebody, but why not improve the aerodynamics if we can, right? This bike is just getting older. It's getting close to upgrade time anyways. And that's where I think it's just time to go. And rim brakes probably are the biggest reason, though, of why I want to get rid of this bike. I don't want to move to another rim brake bike. I want to move to a disc brake bike that can handle some bigger tires, ideally 32s. Now, why haven't I done this in the past? Well, 2022, 2021, I just don't think disc brake bikes were there yet. Not enough people had really tested them to be super efficient for racing and be better than a rim brake bike. But nowadays, they're really making bikes around allowing those bigger tires. They're making disc brake wheels to allow for bigger tires. People are running bigger tires, and it has been proven to be better. And I'm starting to see that in my races now in the Peloton, that those bikes are superior to these rim brake bikes. I wasn't seeing that in 2021. I wasn't seeing that in 2022 yet. Disc brake bikes just weren't there yet. They weren't light enough yet for racers to really want to race them, I would say, on the local scene. They didn't give you enough of an improvement in a race setting to really justify that upgrade. But now in 2024, I think disc brakes are just superior. They've brought down the weights. They've increased tire size. They've increased the comfort that is on the bike. Like, they've just done so much around the bike. And I think disc brakes have really gotten to a point where they are truly superior to rim brakes. Now I do love the ability to work on my bike. And let's just be honest, rim brake bikes are way easier to work on. But I do know how to bleed brakes, and I do know how to service and maintenance them, but it just takes longer. Like, the simplicity of this bike is so easy, and I love that aspect of it. So in 2025, my goal is to get a disc brake crit racing bike. Do I know what it's going to be yet? No, I don't. But if you have any suggestions, please let me know, because I'd love to get your thoughts on what you think is the ultimate crit racing disc brake bike. And there's a lot of answers for that. And what I don't want is Specialized Tarmac SL8. That bike rips. I know it. I'm not dishing out $10,000 to race my local 1-2 criterium races, right? I want like $3,000 bike build. That's what I want. $3,000, $4,000. That's what I want. So there's a lot of good companies out there, especially from China, making amazing frames and amazing parts and all that stuff so that you can make these bike builds cheaper. Hopefully that's the route I'm going to take, and then put it on the channel. You can follow along with me in building a super awesome crit bike, because this has been just an amazing crit bike. I've crashed this bike and you can't tell, because this was made for crit racing and it's a phenomenal bike. This has been a video I've wanted to make for a little bit, and I finally got the words to put it together, and I've been thinking in my head that it's time to get rid of this bike, even though I love it. And maybe I won't get rid of it. It might just be my permanent indoor trainer bike. I don't know yet, but I'm probably not going to race with it anymore. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Please give me any comments if you agreed or disagreed with anything I had to say, and subscribe for more content like this. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.